sound over here on the old West by God, Virginia is going down. All right. We're here live, more or less, from Las Vegas, the center of the basketball world, except where they're actually playing basketball. They're not playing basketball here anymore because our team kind of sucked this year. The whole conference. But,
kind of.
Anyhow, Mark Anthony, Rick Rosen, this is Good Sports. What's happening, man?
Not much. It's just a nice hot spring day. I like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful weather here. If the weather was like this all the time, we'd be a hell of a lot bigger.
Yeah,
a lot more population. I'm kind of glad it gets hot. It weeds out the wussies. Kind of like what's happening in the NCAA tournament, Mark.
Oh my God!
Man, okay, there's been some oddities. Are you a big numerologist type of person? Do you have a favorite number, a lucky number?
No.
I know there's quite a few people like that, and this is only going to add fuel to their fire, and I'm almost positive I'm not going to be the first guy that thinks of this, but they seed, there's 64 teams that finally make the actual tournament. They have now the first four, and they play into two spots. So they get 62 teams named to it, and then they have four more that play for those last two ways in. They do not become 16 seeds. Well, some of them, they end up, I think Tulsa ended up being 11. But anyhow, so when they say there was an upset, there has never been a 16 seeded team knock off a number one seeded team. But this year, again, there was a 15 that beat a 2. Michigan State was the 2 seed, and Middle Tennessee State knocked them off. And just did not seem impressed that they were from the Big Ten and all these big time ball players and McDonald's All-Americans and all that. And they went up there and they just did everything that Michigan State wanted to do and did what they wanted to do and win the game. That was a 15 over a 2. Now, It is almost a tradition that a 12 knocks off a 5. A 12 seed knocks off a 5. This year, we've had at least 2. Arkansas Little Rock beat, which is the opposite of Little Rock, Arkansas. Where are you located? Little Rock, Arkansas. I guess you would say Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. It's like a palindrome. Anyway, they knocked off Purdue in 2 overtimes. So that was another it has not been an exceptionally good tournament for the Big Ten. Even though there's more than 10 teams in there. Maybe that's it. But that's a 12 and a 5. Then Wisconsin and Pitt just did the lowest. Wisconsin had the lowest first half score ever in the NCAA's, 16 points in the first half, and we ended up winning the game, 47-43. But Yale was a 12 over a 5 in Baylor. 15-2, 12-5, you're seeing there's only 3 digits, 1, 2, and 5 in those upsets. So the numerologists are going to have a ball, man. They're going to be all over this. There's going to be some cosmic thing. Zeus farted, and it caused a sunspot. And it's always something. But they call it the big dance, Mark, and it's where few actually dance, and the final dance leaves just one dancer. It's a shame that a lot of these kids go out, only damn near all of them, all but 10 or 12 kids that play NCAA basketball go out winners, unless you're a crappy team who won your last game, or you've decided to extend your fun by going to New York City and playing in the NIT. You actually stay home for a couple games, 1 or 2. They have, very few basketball kids get to end on a victory. Where in football, college football, the 2 teams play in the Podunk Pooper Scooper Bowl, but one of them gets the win. All their seniors get to end their college career with a victory. And we won our bowl game. Nobody ever says, it was named after kitty litter or something like that. We won our bowl game. And these
Right.
kids in basketball, and one of the coaches was talking about how sudden it is. And it's frightening that it is over with this class, this team. It's done. It'll never be together again, except at the banquet. Fried chicken and salmon and salad and iced tea. And that's it. That's what you get to do with these kids, except the ones that come back next year, of course. But I don't know really what they could do except have another tournament afterwards and say, okay, you guys played. They tried to do something kind of like football here in Las Vegas, and of course, I'm sure it had nothing to do with it being an MGM grand thing.
No.
Except it was called the Vegas 16, and they couldn't get 16 teams to play, so they got 8 teams that do. I mean, they've got Phoenix University and the culinary school from. No, they don't really, but they were supposed to have 16 teams, and have this tournament. It's still only going to be one winner. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, only one team that was too crappy to make the NCAA's or something happened. But that's where we are in the world of college sports. You know, they have different age levels depending on the sport that you can enter. You can be a baseball player and be drafted to the major leagues and play directly out of high school. A kid from Las Vegas, Mike Morgan, did that. He went in. He was a pitcher. He was a #1 draft pick. Al Kaline was famous for going right from high school to baseball, in the 60s with the Detroit Tigers. But you can do that. It's legal. You can do that in soccer. You can be a soccer player one day on a college team, and the next day you can be playing for the Cosmos or the Earthquake or whatever the hell, the Shockers up in Seattle, or Sounders, or I don't know, whatever the hell they're called. Anyway, that's soccer. But you can do that. Hockey, kind of the same way. You can play juniors. You can still play college. You can do this and that. Basketball, it's this one and done, and your high school graduating class has to be at least 1 year in, and you have to be 19 years of age. I guess in case some really stupid kid who got held back 2 years wanted to play pro ball for his high school team to have 1 year separating that graduation from when he can go to the pros. And football, the kid named Maurice Claret from Ohio State had been a bowl hero when Ohio State won the national championship, and he tried forcing the NFL's hands, and they would not let him into the league. And then he started doing, he had all this money. I think he had agents. I think he had tasted the Kool-Aid and wanted a whole glass, and they wouldn't let him into the NFL. And he eventually found his way to the Broncos. Drafted him, I think, in the 3rd round or whatever it was. I mean, he was a great talent, and he couldn't keep his ass out of jail. He just was pathetically guided, and whoever was giving him advice, it wasn't good advice, and he ended up ruining his career. I think he might still be in prison, but. Anyway, there's this huge difference, and I do not see why basketball than baseball, or baseball than football, or whatever. The different sports kind of get to set their own standards on whether they'll allow you into their league or not. And I think the NCAA should say, hey, everybody's eligible. You can go and come back. If they would do that, if they would be leaders for all these other sports, they'd say, okay, it's cool, go try. If you don't make it, welcome back. Guys would be you look at our friend John Calipari down at Kentucky. I think he'd be all for that. If a kid tries and he makes a team, great. Congratulations, Anthony Davis. You're going to be a superstar and go on and enjoy your millions. And if a kid tries out for a team and doesn't make it, he should be able to go back to his college team. You're not ready for the next level. Go back for another year of college. That makes more sense to me. That takes the hypocrisy out of it as far as I'm concerned. Calipari's good about saying, hey, these kids want to play in the pros. That's my job, is to get them prepared for that. So just like the guy that's a professor over at the medical school, he's getting those kids prepared to be doctors. John Calipari's getting them prepared to be pro basketball players. I do not see any difference whatsoever. So anyway,
totally agree with you on that one. Totally agree with you on that one. Tell you,
God, I hope we can bronze that moment. Will you send me that clip? I'm going to use it for my ringtone. Mark totally agreed with Rick on something. other than to start the show or sign off. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll put that out there, Mark. We'll put that in the suggestion box. You know, it makes way too much sense
Exactly.
for anybody to say that's got a chance. Yeah, it's almost like this. You know, Mark, we get into politics every once in a while, and I'm gonna tell you my theory first, and you can tell me why you think it's wrong. Compromise is the way politics works. If you get your way all the time, that's a dictatorship. Okay, compromise is how our republic, how what we call democracy works. And I think I hear a compromise that sounds reasonable to me and will keep a lot of crap from happening. And that is that the Republicans say, okay, Obama has nominated Derek Garland, to be the next Supreme Court justice. And we will hear him and okay him after the election if the Democrats win. If Hillary Clinton wins the presidency, then it's up to her to say, that's the guy I would have nominated. Or they can take their chances. But I don't care who it is, we're not going to okay him. Doesn't seem reasonable to me. It seems like a compromise is okay if the Republicans win. Then you get your way. Your guy, Donald Trump, names the next Supreme Court justice. And if Hillary wins, then we're not in that void, because without the justice sitting on the court, it really has as bigger ramifications as one more liberal or one more conservative. It's almost of equal value there with a tie, because when they go to 4-4, it sends it back. They can't override anything. They can't make an opinion. It has to be a 5-4 at there has to be a majority for it to count. So they send things back to don't you think that's a reasonable alternative? Okay, if your guy wins, we won't accept him. And if your gal wins, okay, then it's her call. What do you think? Can we wait till November?
Let's see here. Okay, first of all, Hillary is going to be in prison by next year. The two stooges that Obama has on the Supreme Court now are having a difficulty time spelling their own name. So,
those two people?
Let's just wait until after the election.
You realize that there's only two universities? There's only two universities that have graduates on the Supreme Court. Do you know what those two universities are?
What are they?
Yale and Harvard.
Oh, God.
They're Yale and Harvard, for God's sakes. Yeah, there's nobody that's even Clarence Thomas. Honest to God, he asked his first question in 10 years after Scalia died. You couldn't get a word edgewise, So I don't think anybody qualifies as a moron, but I think he's probably as close as there gets. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is cool. She's a very intelligent young lady. She's like Judge Judy. Now they're talking about that's who Donald Trump wants on the Supreme Court, is Judge Judy. That would be good. But anyhow. All right. So what do you think? Don't you think that's reasonable? Okay. Why should we wait all the way till January and let some of these cases come up that could be dealt with 5-4 and winner take all? Don't you think if it's riding on the election, shouldn't they say don't you think that's fair? Because if Hillary wins, she's going to name her nominee anyway.
I would just rather wait, just like we've done in the past when we had a Republican president. The Democrats held the nomination until after the election.
That's another fallacy. We have not done that. It just comes up now and again, very, very rarely. But don't you think it's cool to say, okay, let's talk to the guy. Let's get the foreplay done. So once we have the election in that first Tuesday following November, which this year it actually is, I think it's on November 8th, whoever wins will know that night and say, okay, we'll schedule the hearing in the next week. And if Trump wins, then we'll say, okay, once he's sworn in, he can name who, but he can tell us who he wants now, and maybe we can have get some of the preliminaries done, because there are really serious ramifications for not having a full Supreme Court. If this was less, and I do think it's funny, Mark, that people say, well, what's his name? The guy that looks like one of the Star Wars creatures. I forget who it is. Mitch McConnell. That's his name. dude, it would not take a whole hell of a lot of Photoshop to get this guy to be the star of the next one. Anyway, he says we want to wait for the will to count. Well, okay, how do we know we're still going to be here by then? This is the will of the people. We put Obama in for 8 years, right? For 8 years. We didn't say, hey, 7 years, why don't you take an extended vacation, or tell Obama to go play golf in Hawaii for another year. The full term is the full term. I just don't see the entirety of their argument, and I think this is a decent compromise. I don't think it's what all the Democrats want, and I don't think it's all that the Republicans want. But don't you think that's a reasonable compromise, Mark? That if you win in November, we'll do it, and if you don't win, and if our guy wins in November, then we'll speed the process up because there are ramifications.
Okay,
go ahead. By the way,
yes?
Stephen F. Austin is beating West Virginia. That's a 14-3. That would screw my thing up.
This is
everybody's brackets is busted already.
Well, I mean, I've been watching the tournament peripherally, and also being down on the Strip. The chaos that this brings with it to the sports books.
I was downtown yesterday.
Is absolutely hilarious. Okay.
The mix of St. Patrick's Day and
oh my God,
LA's was incredible.
Oh.
That was wonderful.
People watching Supreme. I mean, that was just,
oh man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you're, like you just kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah. I watched the blackjack table yesterday, Mark. There were 5 guys and 2 babes sitting at the table. The dealer could have pulled out like Play-Doh and said, "Sorry, you lost," and taken the guy's money. The only 2 people that were paying attention to the dealer and the cards were the babes. They could have given a crap about the basketball games. And the guys they were just looking up at the TV that was, in the pit and they were just staring like this, and they would look, and if they didn't have money, they'd put more money out there. And they didn't. What did you think? She could have conspired with the other two babes, and they could have taken all their money. And no, sorry, what? That's a tough streak, all you guys. Never seen a dealer get that many blackjacks all in a row. I held the world record for most consecutive wins at blackjack. Don't you?
Okay. No.
Are you aware of that?
No.
When Rod Williams Stoll and I were doing the overnights at the old KVEG.
Oh, God, yes.
Rod complained that I was doing the shows from some of the great casinos in the world, Caesar's Palace, Bally's. Yes, I was, and he complained that he was doing the overnights with me, anything from a casino. So we developed a casino, and it was the Sports and Entertainment Network Casino and Hotel in Las Vegas. Well, one night, just out of pure boredom, we started playing radio. Somewhere, I'm sure we do. Radio blackjack. God. And I had a winning streak. We were up to 67, Mark, and they had a Guinness Book of World Records thing right there next to Circus. And I talked to the guy who was the curator there, and I said, "Listen, I know I'm getting close to the world record for wins." And he said, "Well, it certainly seems like it to me." So he came on with us to verify that I had never lost a hand. You'd be surprised how many times I hit 20 when somebody had 19, or vice versa. But I had never lost a hand at 67 hands. And we did that, and I got the record. Somewhere we have the archive tape of me being named the official record holder for consecutive wins. But the boss came to me. Within a couple days, and God rest him, Richard Grissar, and he said, "Hey babe," he said, "you can't play radio blackjack anymore." And I said, "Why? The people love it." I said, "Some of them don't even could care about sports, but they called to play radio blackjack." Well, he said people were sending in the money. He says our license is up for renewal, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, people are sending in the money." And I said, "No kidding." And he had several $10 bills, $20 bills, checks, food stamps stuff, and they had to return them to people because I would say, okay, whatever you put up, we'll cover, and then I would say, would you like a cocktail? Now they would be calling from like Sacramento.
Right.
Cocktail, turn your porch light on. I'll send the lady by, and people would call, but they were sending in their frickin' money, so you don't have to. I guess maybe that's an indictment of the basketball story in that one, but yeah, we used to. We did several things like that.
Well, you also had a coupon for a what was it? Coupon for a free dinner or buy one dinner.
Buy one meal, get the second meal at full price. Good at any restaurant in America.
That's it.
Yeah. You want to hear the story about that? That's kind of cute too. I was going through chemotherapy, Mark. So it was 22 years ago, and Richard called. And said, I know you're not feeling well. And I said, no, what you need, Richard? And he said, and this was a network that was running out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. They'd got the old business radio network, and we had a sports, I think it was just called Sports Radio Network. And he said, we've narrowed it down to 2 shows on the weekend. And I said, what's that, Richard? He said, well, our license is up for renewal. I said, do you ever own a place that the license isn't constantly up for renewal? So anyway, he says the license is up for renewal, and this guy's an attorney, and he's going to write a complaint to the FCC, and we do not need that. He said, we've narrowed it down. He won something. He doesn't know what he won. He can't tell us exactly what he won. He just knows that he won something, and he wants it. And he said, so we've figured out that it was either your show on Saturday or your show on Sunday or Carrie's show on Saturday or Sunday. And I had to tell him, well, Richard, I don't give away stuff on my show because we don't need to, we get phone calls because people like sports and like what we're doing. The other guys had to beg for callers and whatever. So they had to give crap away to get people to call, and then they would do their show. So he said, well, man, please try to think real hard. He said, this is real important. And I was getting frustrated, man. I wasn't feeling all that well anyway. And I said, Richard, the only thing we've given away in the past 2 or 3 months is a buy one meal, get the second meal at full price, good at any restaurant in America. And he said, that's it. He said, send the guy one. So I'm like, no, dude, you don't understand. It's a buy one meal, get the second meal at full price. He says, I'm going to leave my office open. When you come in, make one up and send it to the guy. So I said, okay. So I had my daughter, who's now a graphic designer, and she made up a coupon. And we printed it up and we sent it to the kid. Well, we were still getting calls for him. So we were sending out 15 to 20 certificates a week. And he said, listen, this is stupid. We can't. Now, after the fact, we sent the guy one. But after the fact, we couldn't do it anymore because it was costing so much in postage. So, but the best was the kid who he called from the Masters. And we were on early, and it was Saturday morning. And the kid called, and he was on like the 9th tee at Augusta and waiting, and he had this, it was a live report and it was cool. And I said, listen, for the great report on golf, because nobody ever talks about golf on this show, I'm going to give you a buy one meal, get the second meal at full price, good at any restaurant in America. Congratulations. Thanks for calling. And he said, is there any chance I could get 2 of the coupons? He said, because I'd like to take my girlfriend and her parents out to eat. And so I said, well, sure. You've been such a good caller, and you took your time from Augusta. Yeah, we'll send you 2. So we sent the kid 2 coupons. So the next week he calls, he says, thanks, man, I got the coupons, and we're going to go out to eat. I'm taking him out to eat on like Wednesday or something. So I don't think we ever heard back from him. Now that I think about it, after further review, so what can we give away? Well, Mark, we also had the guess the number I'm thinking of, and you win $1 million promotion. That went well. My mom, God rest her, won one night. She called in, and of course it was $1 a year for 1 million years, and she didn't really get that part of it. So we had people calling in and writing letters because I said she couldn't play because she was my mom. So you have to be careful what you say on the air. People take it very seriously. Okay, Mark, I have an ethical question, or at least a philosophical question for you. And this takes some thinking. Which do you think is the bigger motivation? getting to the point of making millions of dollars, like as an athlete, getting to be so proficient that you're a world-class athlete and you're making millions of dollars, or wanting more of the money once you get that first part? Which do you think? I mean, you've tasted the Kool-Aid. Now you want more Kool-Aid. You don't know what the Kool-Aid tastes like until you get there. So which is the bigger motivation, do you think?
Getting the first one.
Yeah, why?
Because you want the taste of it.
Yeah, but you want more.
Right.
Right. Nobody's.
But it's almost like the chicken or the egg. Okay. I mean,
I use sex as a metaphor, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. The taste of that win will give you the desire to go for the second one, but getting that first one is a feeling you'll never have again.
Yeah. I suppose there's something, but I don't know if that's such an incredible feeling. I mean, it's like, I remember my first orgasm, but that has not stopped me from going for bigger and better and more often, as the situation arises, so to speak. Anyway, to me, I think there's arguments to be made for both sides. Some guys get there and want more. And by the way, Trey, let me see, Mark. There was a Baltimore Ravens football team. One of their D-backs. Yeah, one of their D-backs was killed in a motorcycle wreck down in Miami. And we don't want to lose sight that these guys are human beings. Reports are that he was on a dirt bike, and that Trey Walker, he was on a dirt bike, and he was wearing dark clothing, and it was at night or after. It was like 7:30 at night, and he didn't have the light on the dirt bike, and he ran into somebody, and it cost him his life. He lived for just a few days, and he was all things considered, here is a world-class athlete who was just out kind of living it up on, people always say, oh God, why Tom Brady jump off that cliff? Why do guys skydive? We have to write it in their contract. They can't do that. I think they use, they need that adrenaline. They need that adrenaline rush that they get from their particular sport. I mean, it's got to be a tremendous rush to hold up the Super Bowl trophy, or to get to hoist the Stanley Cup, or be in that big dog pile at the World Series. I mean, that's got to be really cool. But sometimes I think guys just need that excitement in their life. And anyway, cost Trey Walker, reportedly that's what he was doing, was riding a dirt bike, and I guess he was headed home. He wasn't out in the middle of the boonies. He hit a car. He hit a Ford Explorer, I believe. So anyway, our thoughts and prayers out to his family, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
23 years old.
It's that whole, you're under a spotlight, you're under that microscope, and you just need to get away from it all. And so,
release.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you see, they were talking about Mike Tyson. I saw an article that he spent $2.5 million to move down the street. He had a house. He was broke. Yeah. Here's a guy who did not do the George Foreman thing, take 10 years off and then come back and win it and become Mr. Foreman Grill and the spokesman for all kinds of things. But Tyson has reinvented himself, and for all the idiot that people thought Mike Tyson was, he has proved them wrong. He is a pretty astute businessman, and he has cashed in enough now where he's able to afford a $2.5 million place that he can move out of and move up the street to a $2.75 million place, or whatever the hell it was. So, what do you think of Mike Tyson, Mark? Have you changed your opinion of Tyson since he was a fighter?
Yes, totally. He basically crashed and burned. Okay. After he lost his title, after he bit off the ear and he got, and all that, once he got away from Don King, once he got away from all of that, he was, he lived in Phoenix for a while. He raced pigeons, of all things. And then he met who is now his wife, who was not after him for his money because he didn't have any.
Was not Robin Givens.
Yeah. And I think, once he got away, he was able to sit back and go, okay, who am I? You know, and it's like you said, he reinvented himself. You know, I mean, look at the time that we were at the Joint, and Mike Tyson walked.
Yeah, Hard Rock.
Yeah, Hard Rock. You know. I mean,
yeah,
he was still regarded as God of the boxing world, even though he'd been out of it for many, many years. So he was able to package that and go, okay, what can I do that is going to make me money and not sell my soul to the devil again? And he's come out of it smelling like a freaking rose. God bless him.
Night. You remember when Mike Tyson walked in, Mark?
Yes.
This is my favorite story that you tell.
Well, I just love it because everyone thinks you're a freaking moron, Rick. Okay, you know, until they stand next to you, and then they really hate your guts because you don't get it. You don't let them get the photo. Okay, all right. Any sports photographer that doesn't know you hates standing next to you. All right, just okay. Those of us that know you, the sports photographers that know you, we put our earplugs in because we know what you're going to do. All right. But yes, here is my favorite. Okay, this is my top 3 favorite stories of you. Okay.
Oh, good. What's number 1? No, I don't want to know.
No, actually,
we probably shouldn't say it on the air.
No. The number 1 story is at Spy Vegas. I think we were at the Rio when that one photographer wanted to one up you with, I know so and so. Look at on my smartphone, and you're like, well, here's his family. Here's his wife. Here's his daughter. I was over at his house. Well, I got.
Yeah.
And I walked over to the guy going, give it up. Well, I got a picture of Tim McGraw, and you're like, well, here's Tim. Here's Faith. I was over at their house. Okay. Well, I got.
That's right. Here's us having dinner.
Yeah. Here, I got Phil Ivey winning the bracelet. Well, I got Phil Ivey. Well, here's Phil. And this poor guy just did not buy a clue. It's like, dude, give up.
Cash him a penny. Yeah, that happens to me, Mark. But okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Back to the Hard Rock. All right.
This is one that I just.
We were how far up?
Oh God.
We were in the rafters.
We were at what was it?
We were on the second level.
What was it? HBO or Showtime? Showtime Boxing at the Hard Rock. They had all the media up on the second floor, overlooking everything.
The Joint was new.
The Joint was brand new. The place was packed, and standing next to us was a ESPN photographer who thought he was freaking God. And Mike, and all of a sudden, the crowd started. The crowd below us started to kind of shift around, and Mike Tyson was walking in, and Mike had been dethroned like a year or 2 previous to this. And
yeah, it was several. Yeah,
several years. And and everyone was just kind of bowing down to Mike. And okay, fine. This ESPN dude was next to us, and he was like yelling at Mike, trying to get Mike Tyson's, Mike up here, ESPN up here, Mike, ESPN up here. Mike Tyson was having none of it. There's Rick. Hey, Mike, Rick. Hey, Rick, how you doing? The smoke coming out of that ESPN guy's ears was I wish I got a photo of that, man. He just looked at you and, who in the fuck are you? I'm Rick Rosen. He got his camera and moved to the other end, man. He wanted nothing to do with you, man.
I was just saying hello to Mike.
Yeah.
He's not, like I say, he's not near the dummy that people made him out to be. Was not an incredibly social man to be around. He was, everybody wanted him to be the animal Mike Tyson. I've got a magazine that he was supposed to fight Evander Holyfield before he went to prison, and he hurt his ribs, and they called off the fight, and then he got charged with rape and went to Indiana in the prison and got out, and finally fought Evander and lost, and bit off his ear and stuff. But it is a magazine. I probably got it in the back room here, Mark, and it says The Animal versus the Gentleman, and it was Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield, you know what? He got disqualified from a fight for biting a guy on the back. He leaned over and took a chunk out of the guy's shoulder and his back. So, you know, both of them did the same thing. He might bit off his, it's just the body part that they bit. They still bit another human being enough to draw blood or spit out a chunk of air or whatever it was. So it was the animal versus the gentleman. Tyson he knew people expected him to be the animal, and that's how he acted. And it was unfortunate. I think a lot of it was the act. By the way, Stephen F. Austin, Virginia, 70-56. That is a 14 over a 3. So there will be no perfect brackets. I guarantee you, there will not be any perfect brackets. Nobody has Yale, Arkansas, Little Rock, and Middle Tennessee State and Stephen F. Austin on the same thing, except they were printed on there. Nobody put check marks by all 4 of those teams to advance into this next round. West Virginia was a very good team, and they got their asses handed to them.
I'm not going to win that $1 million pot then, I guess.
No, your money is safe. It's 64 teams. The odds would be, you would think that odds would be that somebody could have a perfect slate, but I almost guarantee you there won't be anybody left alive after this first round. Usually it takes to the second round before somebody really gets screwed over. But I would be very hard pressed to think with those 4 games, 14 over a 3, a 15 over 2, 12 over 5s, that anybody's going to have any semblance of a perfect slate going in.
Were you always good
this
at
is
math?
One of the greatest. Always.
Really? Okay.
Dad was quicker than most any computer, and he could calculate things really quick, and couldn't spell cat if you told him it starts with C and an A. And my mom could spell like Noah Webster right in the inside the dictionary, and couldn't add 2 and 2 if you said, "Mom, 2 fingers on this hand and 2." I mean, it was just that perfect go to no matter what my deal was. So when I was in 4th grade, I had the worst nightmare. Not really terrible bad, but you think it's a nightmare. When I was in 4th grade, both my parents were teaching 4th grade, and so I would come home from school, and it was a unified school district, so everybody had the same class books and all that, for the most part. And do you have any homework? No. Yes, you do. You're on page 67 in world history, and get it done. And here's oh crap! I wanted to go out in front and play football or softball or something, So anyhow, that's how that came about. Well, Mark, like I say, they call it the big dance, and people are dancing, man. Arkansas, Little Rock. Yeah, Middle Tennessee State. It? No, in Arkansas and share a border or something.
Yeah,
that's going to be one hell of a party if it stretches from place to place. But wow. Now I'm telling you, there's and you look at Wisconsin. Like I say, they had 16 points, the lowest scoring ever in the first half in the NCAA tournament, and they ended up winning the game, 47-43 over Pitt. And, Bo Ryan left that team early on in the season, a legendary coach, and had them in the Final Four and actually in the championship game last year. And they knocked off Kentucky. They did all that. So they've got some real good talent carried over. They didn't lose everybody. And Bo Ryan just up and quit. Kind of an odd thing. And a lot of conjecture about exactly what the real reason is. But he just quit, said, okay, I'm done. And he went on. And now they've won their first round game. Coach Gard taking them into the second round. The guy who was the assistant took over. David Rice got fired in the middle of the season, and Todd Simon took over for him. Now there's an article in today's Review Journal, actually in the Sun, about and I don't know if people can see this, Mark. Let's see.
There we go.
And it says right here, Stacey Augmond's taking the wrong path to capture UNLV's job. And written by Ron Brewer, longtime Henderson writer in Boulder City, I think he was at. But Stacey Augmon is in my opinion the greatest rebel of them all as far as players. He had a long career in the NBA. He was an assistant coach in the NBA. Well, he was a defensive guru. He was one of Tark's favorite of all time. Along with Larry Johnson, they led UNLV to the NCAA championship. Greg Anthony also in that group, all first rounders. And now Stacey Augmon came back to UNLV to sit on UNLV. He bleeds rebel red and just simply said, I want to be considered. I mean, I want the job. And well, that was the wrong way to go about it. Why?
Yeah.
I do not understand in the least. Stacey Augmon deserves that job. If anybody on earth can turn around this program, it's Stacey Augmon. I don't care Rick Pitino. I don't care who it is. There might be a handful of coaches that could come in and be able to do what Stacey Augmon, I believe, will be able to do. And that's to go into a kid's home and say, listen, we want you to come to UNLV and play. I came from a home like this, and I went to UNLV, and look what I got out of it. Right. And I think that they will not find a better link back to the days of the Running Rebels and Tark the Shark and the whole shoot match than the Plastic Man himself, Stacey Augmon. And if they don't do that, they're going to lose a tremendous amount of respect. I don't think anybody is going to give them much support. I think it's going to be not near what it would be if they do this right. And if they don't do this right, man, they are. I don't know the way out of this, Mark. If Augmon's not their first choice, it better be John Calipari. I don't think Rick Pitino's a reasonable replacement, and I don't know who else might be. But you're talking, it better be a really big name with a really good resume, or it ain't going to fly. Right. And Augmon's sitting right there, knowing that he wants the job, and there's some pushback on that. So I would think the first moment he said, hey, I want the job, they should have said, Todd, maybe Stacey will let you be an assistant on his staff, again, if you'd like that. But he's the head coach. And so I don't know wherever it's going with UNLV, and then football team plays in damn near Arizona. And if they can get the stadium, if Sheldon Adelson can get his way again and get that stadium built across the street from the Thomas and Mack, they will have a championship contender in the not too distant future, Mark. And if they don't do that, then they're stuck out there. They will never be anything but a Bush League bottom rung college football team. I don't care who they bring in to coach. Guys don't cross the damn border into Nevada and forget how to coach. John Robinson didn't do it. Bobby Hawk didn't do it. You can't fight all the things that come with Las Vegas and also have no student support because you're playing 7 or 8 miles down the road from your campus. Nobody does that. I mean, even in California when USC or UCLA or somebody plays at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, their people are right there. So they drive and I guess it's easier there. But they all have on campus support, and it's big. It's huge when you need that momentum. You can get it from moms and dads going, come on, team. And then you get the students, yeah! And everyone, they put off their clothes and painting their faces and stuff like that. So I think it's huge to have that support. And I think Stacey Augmon from longtime Rebels fans, and I don't think the football team's ever going to have it until they can get closer to town. And then I think they'll have it in bundles. So do you want them to build a new stadium? Do you want Sheldon to spend his money on that instead of politics? Or both?
There's enough money sitting at the LVCVA to build that stadium plus a couple more. So yeah, there's a whole slush fund sitting there that MGM doesn't want Sheldon to touch. So
you know what the kind of little secret is to this whole deal, Mark, that nobody really brings up, and we're going to see our friends from the Las Vegas 51s here at the end of March 31st and April 1st. The Cubs and the Mets, the replay of the National League Championship Series this past year, are playing their last two exhibition games in Las Vegas, as teams do every year. They call it Big League Weekend, and it's awesome. But if they're going to build a new stadium across the street from UNLV, the time that it probably won't be used as often, football or basketball or whatever, is during college baseball season. And or baseball season in particular, not college baseball season, but minor league baseball season. And I think they up in moving the 51 out towards downtown Summerlin, where they have proposed putting up a new stadium for them, to somebody saying, hey, hang on, we're not going to need all these stadiums. How about we have one that accommodates everyone? And I think it would be cool for the 51s. And if we're to ever hope to get a Major League Baseball team, as we now want a Major League Hockey team, and by the way, they've come up with two formulas. They're going to choose one of the two for stocking a new team or two in the NHL if, in fact, they decide to expand, which, to me, it's kind of like slipping on what's coming next. You're not doing that just be, you know what I mean? So I think that's part of the deal. But anyhow, I find these different relative points. I hope you're aware. Okay, well, what do you think? Do you think the 51s should be able to play in a new stadium that's going to accommodate the Rebels and also a football team or a hockey team or
Nope.
whatever?
Nope. Do not build a multi-sport stadium. That is Minnesota did that.
But you want to see the rodeo there?
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, rodeo uses a straight through shot, so a football stadium works for rodeo. Okay, baseball stadium does not fit football, and it doesn't fit rodeo. It just no.
Baseball stadiums and football stadiums with modern technology can be both, because they have the stands that move now, and of any kind of audience participation, like going to the damn games in the summer here in Las Vegas, unless it's a domed stadium. As I was out here when Cashman opened in 1983, and we would go to the games, and you would come home 5 pounds lighter because you sweated, man. I mean, it was no doubt about it. You were hot. We were sitting there on those sticky seats, and you had the kid, like that, and it was just not fun. Now, that hasn't changed. It still gets hot here in the summer, and they're still playing at Cashman, and it's a tough deal for them in the summer months. So if there's going to be a covered stadium and it doesn't accommodate our baseball team, we might as well not have, because if there's something going on. Okay, I have $20 to spend on tickets tonight. I can go watch a soccer game in the Dome at the football stadium, because soccer and football match up so well. We can do that, or go to the baseball game and watch it in the nice outdoor 107 degrees at 6:30 in the evening temperature. It's no contest. Nobody's going to go out there. So anyway, that's my take on the deal.
Okay, but if you're going to put soccer in there, I mean, you might as well throw, I don't know, cricket in there, because no one's going to be there anyway. I mean, there's going to be more concession.
The soccer team will draw. Oh, no, the soccer team will draw here, particularly if there's a close-in stadium and it's domed. It's covered. Soccer will draw, Mark. It's just, they have to do this right. It's not like we can afford to say, we don't like that stadium so much, let's build another one. This is one that's going to have to last. Look how the Thomas and Mack is so outdated now. It opened in, 84, 85, somewhere in there, Mark, and it has not, however much you upgrade it, at some point you can't put enough upgrades in there to say it doesn't start to build another one until they got the minute. And Cox Pavilion and all those things are newer than the Thomas and Mack is, and there are some things that that grudgingly I'm going to say this, the MGM Grand new White Elephant Arena will have better attendance at or for some of these events that are now at the Thomas and Mack, and that's unfortunate. It's just aged. That's all. And people would never think of tearing down the LA Coliseum, but nobody plays there anymore. Well, now they're going to have the Rams there, but I mean, some stadiums just outlived their in Minnesota. They had the Homer Dome, Hubert H. Humphrey Dome, and now they're playing at the University of Minnesota while waiting for their next experiment to take off. Right.
Right.
How many billions of dollars did that cost the Minnesotans?
Also, the Metrodome had baseball and football, and it didn't work. So now they separated them, and now attendance is up at the Twins games, and you'll see attendance go up at the Vikings game. So.
See, I think one of the things that didn't work at those games was the technology. When they would turn on the air conditioning when the home team was up, and would it be a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing towards dead center. That's an advantage, and they changed it. Then they found some things out after the fact. You know what they found out in Houston when they built the Dome Stadium? Grass don't grow inside AstroTurf. One led to the other. They did not have AstroTurf planned. They planted real grass inside the Astrodome, and they couldn't get it to grow. And so they came up with the AstroTurf as an alternative. Not that that's all that good, but they have. But anyway, they find things out after the fact, and I think that's what happened in the Twin Cities, is they found out after the fact that it's not the system we bought into. It was unintended consequences, like home runs. and then they would turn off the air conditioning when the opposition came up to bat, or suck it out the back door. They would say they would open up the door, and you could feel this wind tunnel.
No, it was called Kirby Puckett.
Kirby Puckett, yes, one of the greatest baseball I've ever seen play. One of the most passionate. He lost his eye and died way too young. So, Mark. All
right.
Do we have anything?
Nope.
There's some goings-ons always in the world. And one of the things that's going on, Mark, Bellator has worked hard, and they do things kind of on their own scale, and they are giving UFC at least a genuine run for their money. They're starting to take talent, and I don't know exactly how that's going to work. It's somewhat like the WBA and the WBC in boxing. Okay, I think they're going to have this group be able to meet this group and maybe have a super champion or something like that. But Bellator used to kind of be the minor leagues too, the UFC, and now you're seeing Bellator doing a pretty darn good job of getting some talent and getting some guys over there. And I don't think it's out of the question that they will be a force that's going to have to be reckoned with for the UFC. They're an alternative now. They've got their TV contract, and they're doing some things that way, Mark. And I think it's only a question of time before it comes down to an all-out war, which is good for the participants.
Yes.
But you see a guy like Randy Couture, and we were talking about Mike Tyson. You look at what the huge stars, whether it's Anderson Silva or Conor McGregor or whomever it is, whoever their or Ronda Rousey, whoever their highest paid stars are, it pales in comparison to what a Floyd Mayweather brings, or Manny Pacquiao, or Mike Tyson, or even whomever it is. Boxing, for whatever reason, goes to the fighters in much bigger chunks than it does to the UFC, to their fighters, and the business model is different. But anyway, Bellator is giving the UFC a run for their money and signing some of these guys away, and some guys that I don't think they've got a tremendous amount of young talent, but they get talent that's still in their prime, maybe towards the end of their prime, but still in their prime, and they're signing some guys away. So, well, the NCAA tournament, Mark, set to take off here again in the next few minutes. There's still some games that will run late into tonight, and then round 2 starts tomorrow. For today, they'll play again tomorrow. Teams play today. We'll play again on Sunday, and then we whittled it down to the real contenders. But been some big upsets. Congratulations, Yale, Middle Tennessee State, and Little Rock, all higher than 12 seeds. So and Wisconsin wins 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 by only scored 16 points in the first half. You know, for Stephen Curry, that's what he does during warm-ups. He puts up 16 points in the NBA. So, is that it?
That's it.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with, Mark?
I just like all the money these people are coming in and dumping in Vegas, baby. Just keep coming, keep on dumping, baby.
All right, I think I agree with you, buddy. All right, Mark. Well, keep in mind this Sunday is Palm Sunday. We start really Holy Week, and you know, God bless y'all, and keep peace in mind, man. That's
That's it.
we just can't keep having all this rancor. It's wearing on me. So,
all right, take us out of here,
Mark. Well, for all of us here at Good Sports, we thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again next week right here.
Bye.